Hi everybody, this is Janani
and Siddharth.
We usually have a dabba of food, but today we have a bowl of grapes.
A rapidly vanishing bowl of grapes.
Yeah, we've been trying to upload a video for the past 3 or 4 months and not succeeded because either the food is not with us at that time or we're otherwise busy or Achintya needs something and there's chaos, or we try something and it doesn't work, but we've decided today we're going to do it.
This one will work.
This one will work. That's what we said the last take also, but this one will work. We've had a beautiful time this past week, right? Yeah. We have new entries to our life. We have a garden now. Achintya has been exploring tiny plants growing in the garden, and that's been really exciting for us. You want to tell them
about? Our garden is 30 paint buckets that are up on the terrace that we water every evening. Some already grown plants and some little growing plants, and some buckets that are currently not looking like they have plants, but we really think they're in there.
Do you want to tell them about what happened with the food and Achintya? You were saying?
Yeah. So a couple of days back, it was evening time, all the bats from IISc were making their evening migration out to eat things. And so Achintya always loves being on the terrace at that point of time and pointing at the bats and saying, "For more!" So he and I were on the terrace, and he's just on the right height that he can look into those paint buckets and see the little seedlings emerging. And I had my bowl of food from Sapurnahara. That day it was really colorful. There was like cucumber and beetroot and multiple colors in there. I was eating. He was also eating. He was looking at the plants. He was looking at the bats. And it was just a very happy, content time. More so because I didn't have my phone on me. So I don't have a picture of this time, but representative photos will follow. And in that moment, I recognized just how much of what was happy about that moment was created by social enterprises that we're a part of. Urban Mali set up that garden for us, and Sampurnahara that gave us the lovely food, and Farm Fresh Bangalore gives the lovely groceries for that.
And these.
And these grapes. And I was at that moment thinking about a couple of years ago when I was talking to Radhamma, Janani's mother, because she was incubating social enterprises. She still is. And I happened to have some savings as a grad student in the US. And I was wondering, just becoming aware of how money flows and what it does in various places. I was like, where are good places that, I've made these savings, I'd like them to be doing good in the world instead of sitting in a bank. And she was telling me about her incubatees, but then ended it with saying that none of them are currently at a stage where investment would be useful. And so I'm just reflecting that we've moved on so far from there, that now we have these setting up enterprises that have things ready and are spreading. And I was just recognizing how long we've come. That back then I was looking for other places to invest in, and now I consider that we as a group that's trying to make positive impact in the world.
That's what cooperative work is, no? That's what working together is. Right? You know, the immediate thought that came to me when you told me that story a little while ago was about how we have so much more to do. Yes, we've gone from a space of needing to work 21 out of 24 hours a day to working maybe 18 out of 24 hours a day. But I think that was needed growth, and that is something that's happening, that we're growing, that we are stabilizing. and that our impact is being created in a way that's so beautiful. Achintya has sensory issues, and it's been difficult to get him to touch mud, touch plants, and enjoy it. And over the last week, he's had immense growth just because of that one terrace garden that we've been able to set up. And being able to have that kind of impact in so many people's lives is pretty amazing and very tiring.
I remember last month we were sort of reflecting on 2020 for Sampurna Ahara. And it was pretty amazing when we pulled everything together and saw what had happened. And my reflection on that was, I think it's pretty incredible how much we've done. And I'm feeling good about it, even though at no point of time was success guaranteed. Even right now, success is not guaranteed. But it still feels good.
Yeah. It's always surprising for me when I work with people who have stabilized-ish jobs, who have the sort of security of somebody else paying their monthly salaries, or working as part of a large group of people who don't have the same kind of issues that startups have. It's surprising for me how much my threshold for panic is different from theirs. It's you see situation, you find solution. You know, that's where you jump. You skip that in between panic mode, or at least that's drilled out of you. It's not something that's initially true, but as an entrepreneur, it is drilled out of you. It's almost, I think in some ways that's the skill that doctors have. See situation, find solution. That's okay.
But I think another aspect of it is that I remember you introducing your team to very well, is see situation, identify problem, set up process to prevent it. Right. So,
yeah.
And that's the fun of the startup or the small scale, which is that you can always find process to fix it.
Yeah. True.
And having everyone focused on the process instead of like blaming each other.
I'm curious, what was surprising to you about working in we call ourselves fractal enterprises. So enterprises that create small units that work really well and scale by replicating and networking with each other. So not one unit that grows bigger and taller and therefore one person who's the boss of everybody else. It's a slightly different way of looking at enterprise. And you joined us in the whole thing a couple of years ago, right? As part of a fractal enterprise. So what was different for you, or what was surprising for you?
As compared to the other things I'd done in life?
Yes.
I think one thing that took me time to get used to was how much space we give each other. I remember I would get tense when I was having to deal with customer emails or phone calls. Like anything involving customer phone calls or emails, I was like, no. And once we identified that problem, we said, okay, there needs to be someone doing this. Let's fix it. And we will fix it and take it there. So there's a week of transition and then it's fixed. And this actually works really well with my style of working. But there aren't too many entities that I'm a part of that work that way. Which is, I'm much happier working on that identifying process and fixing that process. Rather than, so in that immediate moment, there is tension. And there is stress. But it's okay, because I know that we're on our way to fixing it, going ahead.
Yeah.
Which I think when I've been a part of larger organizations, some of those things have just been that, oh no, you have to live with it. That's because that's how we're structured. And so having that freedom and that space.
Actually, I think that surprises most people who join us. And there are some people who are unable to understand that space exists.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of our life we have faced that issue, no? Of if you can't do something, then better keep quiet and learn how to do it. As opposed to, if you can't do something, voice it and get help to either do it yourself or somebody else helps you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel that also ties into the way we view education, and like homeschooling for Achintya is the exact same thing. That if you can't do something, voice it and we'll figure out how to do it together.
Simplest thing that makes a giant difference. But I think the reason that it doesn't, this particular process of find out what's difficult for you, voice it, get help. There are two reasons I feel like it doesn't work in a normal situation without facilitation.
Mm-hmm.
One is, it's not easy to find out what's wrong with you. It takes a lot of irritation before it gets to the point where you notice and you say, this is that thing that is difficult.
Right.
Or this is what is triggering. And sometimes you never get there.
Or you're not people don't listen to you to enable you to go to first process your emotion and then get there.
Yeah. So that's that. Then there's the other part of it, which is once you voice something, for example, if I say I am hurt, it's about me being hurt. It's not about you hurting me. Right? First of all, getting somebody to learn how to voice it that way is it's quite a learning curve for them. The second point is for the other person to leave aside their hurts and their insecurities in that moment and say, I see you are hurt. How can we solve it? Is quite a challenge.
I think there's a third layer of, and we've seen this at Sampurnahara, of people who are used to not being listened to are not. It took time for, say, cooks in the kitchen to be comfortable with voicing their opinion, because they were so far used to not being listened to or punished for voicing their opinion.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also a big difference in how we operate.
Thank you for listening. We meandered as usual. Went from gardens to social enterprises. Yeah.
The bats are still there.
Bats are still hanging. And I hope we hear from you on what you'd like us to talk about next time. We've already had one comment from 3 months ago that asked us, how do we manage to do so much in our time?
And we haven't posted in 3 months. So clearly we managed to do a lot with our time.
We'll get there. We're also having a lot of people ask us how we met properly.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still a little too shy. We should get to that. Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye. Here, the grapes are finishing.